When done properly, the internet, screens, and particularly social media can provide 5 essential elements of adolescent well-being: a sense of control over one's environment, individuation, self-expression, a connection to others, and acceptance. And then there is the abyss. Welcome to App-Propriate, a podcast designed to give you a little taste into the positives and negatives of the most popular social media apps, so that you and your most importants can make more informed, healthy, and safer choices when it comes to interacting through your screens. I'm your host, Joe Langford. Note that I said safer, not safe. Interacting through screens with other humans contains a degree of natural risk, just like real life. And I believe that education leads to empowerment, and I hope this information helps add a degree of safety, social responsibility, and good digital citizenship to your social networking and the conversations you have about it with your family. Today's episode is about Amino. Amino is a connected community for teens, with the intention of bringing them together based on their interests, similar to Reddit or Tumblr. Amino describes itself as an ecosystem of standalone mobile apps dedicated to individual topics, as well as what they call the master app, Amino, where members can access all the individual groups and communities, which are also called Aminos. Users can both create and join these communities based on different topics. They can then chat with people that share their interests, get news, watch videos, read blogs, and post content and other information about whatever it is that they're interested in, and can chat, take quizzes, vote in polls, and explore their interests with people who care about the same things they do. Users build groups, appoint leaders, and manage members and are able to access all other Amino social networks, though not all of them are public. Aminos can be public to all members of Amino in groups of invited members only or private one-on-one conversations between two people. This way, an Amino created to support church activities or a local soccer team doesn't have to interact with the wider Amino system. Amino leaders can apply to become a public or a listed community, which essentially means Amino's stamp of approval. The Amino team then rejects or approves their request based on criteria like membership numbers and volume of content. Amino is an app that feels designed for a mobile generation. It's available for most iOS and Android devices, but there's no way to access it with a desktop computer except for some read-only content and quizzes. Amino started out as a large network of almost 100 specific but separate mobile apps, but during the summer of 2016, they centralized into one giant cohesive portal through which every community can be accessed. And with that centralized structure, Amino has now over 1 million individual user-created communities and over 250 listed standalone apps. Members create a profile, which requires an email address, and then chooses a username, oftentimes a nickname. This makes Amino anonymous, which, if you've ever heard me on this topic, is always a red flag for me when paired with adolescents, and the first of a handful of red flags for this particular platform. Once users build a customized profile, they can follow others and grow on their own followings, and either find a community based on their passion or create their own and invite others to join them. As with most social media, once users complete their profile, they can post, blog, create polls, and favorite content, though unlike many other social media feeds, it is localized to one specific topic. Amino does not seem to have any minimum age in their terms of service, though it is rated 12+ in the app stores and does appear to comply with the Children's Online Privacy Protection Act, in that they don't collect any personally identifiable information from or about kids under 13. Amino requires users to get their parents' permission if they are under 13, though, like all other sites, there's no actual verification of this. Amino groups are often focused around fan art and fiction, TV show, movie, video game, hobbies, etc., quizzes, polls, and other generalized geekdom on various topics. If there is a passionate attention base or a pop culture phenomenon, likely there's an Amino for it. Aminos themselves are either open or invite-only. Open Aminos are accessible to all users of the core Amino app, while invite-only Aminos can only be joined if a user is approved by one of the Amino's community moderators. Similarly, chats can be public to all users of Amino, localized to groups of invited members only, or private one-on-one conversations between two people. Amino serves as a way for people of a variety of age groups to discuss their interests with like-minded people. Amino is also an online social community, and that means there's always the potential for negativity and toxic people to join with the intention to harass or take advantage of younger or more inexperienced users. Users can flag inappropriate posts, messages, or other people, and you can block them if you feel that you need to. There's no true monitoring on Amino, but the communities are user-moderated curators. Curators don't monitor everything that occurs within the communities, and they're not held responsible for what happens on the app. Curators and leaders typically seem to care very much about their communities and can respond to flagged content and remove posts and users too if needed. Though many of the Aminos are run by people with little moderation experience who are often minors themselves. Different than most other social media platforms, Amino has very little links to other parts of the internet. So many of the problems that other larger platforms, such as Facebook, has dealt with, such as the inability to link to questionable sources or fake news and the infiltration of bots, all of which are developed and proliferated from third parties, is pretty much avoided. That being said, my other red flags include in-app purchases and location sharing. Locations are displayed with an automatic locator on blogs and posts, and I highly recommend minors turn off location while on Amino. There may be topics that are age inappropriate for specific children, as well as topics that are clearly mature in nature. Most Aminos center around pop culture interests like K-pop, Pokemon Go, and video games like Fortnite. Other broader interests such as art, veganism, LGBT identities, and feminism all have Amino communities too. There are communities focused on movies, books, musical artists, and all variety of lifestyle and interest. Though the communities are public, they are also self-contained systems. If your kid is on a pug dog community or a Harry Potter community, there's a much lower chance of anything scandalous or shocking to come up. And there are some communities that you may not want your children involved with. Your kid may also want to specifically explore an inappropriate topic, and they'll likely be able to find that community. And there's a culture on Amino in which teens talk of hiding the app from parents. But as long as you monitor what your child is doing, these things shouldn't be a problem, and if it becomes one, it can likely be handled with parent-child conversation. My primary concern with the app is the chat aspect. Amino chats can be either voice or video chat, and can be either public, like I said, where you can meet new people and talk, or you can invite other members to private chats. This makes Amino risky for kids, because in the public chat rooms there are other people, and those other people are likely strangers. Online sexual predators are scattered throughout social media, and that includes Amino. In fact, you can safely assume, and I recommend that both adults and children behave as though, on any website or chat room that's catering specifically to children, that there's at least one active predator in the mix. This does not necessarily mean avoid social media, or even Amino. It just means that you and your kid need to gear up before you do. Online predators tend to be smart in a scary way, and they are scary because they're smart. They know how to connect with kids via chat and roleplay. They know how to manipulate unprepared and vulnerable children to trust them, and they know how to exploit that. Children that are not coached or monitored around their online use are much more likely to encounter traumatic content, to make unsafe choices or disclosures, and to fall prey to those predators. My general recommendation is no chatting, no direct messaging, and certainly no video chat with anyone a kid has not met in real life. Particularly those kids who are under 16, who are new to social media, or that lean naive or otherwise vulnerable in some way. If your child is interested in using Amino, I think you should let them only after you have had some conversation around basic internet safety guidelines, like the ones found on my website, beheroes.net, and set very clear expectations for their behavior on their social media. On any app they use, kids need to know how to recognize when someone is being gross or inappropriate, how to block and report them, and not to give out personal information, including phone numbers, real names, and exact locations. Typically, I recommend parents joining in on social media with their kid, and Amino can be a great candidate for this. A really cool way to spend time with your kid around a shared interest such as science, cooking, or your favorite football team. As always, make it absolutely totally clear that your child can always come to you if they see something on the app or anywhere that they don't understand or they don't know how to deal with. Thank you for listening. I'm Joe Langford. I'm a therapist, a sex and tech educator, and a dad, and I specialize in helping families navigate that intersection of adolescence, sexuality, technology, and behavior. More information about me and my work to promote healthy, positive, and safer sexual and social behavior, both online and off, can be found at my website, beheroes.net.
The advice presented in this podcast is a form of education and is intended to provide general information about common though broad topics that impact underage people. Specific circumstances and facts may make said advice unsuitable and/or other actions necessary for individuals. This podcast is meant to be an adjunct, not a replacement, for IRL experience, professional advice, and good old-fashioned common sense. In addition, much of the information included here can and most likely will change with time, culture, and the rapid development of technology. BeHeroes.net does not seek nor accept any monetary gain or financial support from any social media platform mentioned. BeHeroes.net is committed to providing quality consulting, coaching, product, speaker, and contracted therapeutic services, advocacy, and resources to clients, visitors, customers, colleagues, and fans. Appropriate is produced by BeHeroes.net.